If you look at the calendar, it says it's fall. But we walk outside, I'll be damned if it doesn't feel like winter. Welcome to another edition of When Black Men Talk, hosted by Horace and Sally's baby boy, Mark Elliott, joined by Mr. DeMaurice and Mr. Charles. And we get together usually once a week and have conversation, and no telling where the conversation may go. We start out talking about love, life, relationships. I'm not saying we don't touch base on that anymore, but we touch base on a lot more when we do get together. I'm happy that we do. Gentlemen, I'm going to start us off this week talking about a good woman. Because you think about it, we all desire to have one. If you have one, you're very fortunate. And they just bring so much to a man's life when you think about it. So before I kind of roll from there, I'm going to come to you, Mr. Charles, and ask if I was to say to you, if you had to kind of basically design or put together a good woman, what were some of the things that she would behold?
Wow. First of all, she had to be loyal, man. I think loyalty is important because if you're going to make something work together with another person, you got to be loyal. You got to be willing to work together as a team, and that's how you work that together despite the issues. Uh, Confident, of course. Uh, Compassionate. Fun loving. You got to have a sense of humor, because you don't. That would be a major problem with me. Walk around with your nose all up and your face all turned out with a little stank face. That'd be a major issue because I'd be like, what the hell? The other part too is possibly somebody that could be a potential earner too. Not so much a breadwinner, but somebody that can need to be. You know how we can find together how we can make some money together, and probably finally would be uh, somebody that is loving too. I mean, there's so many other things, but somebody that's really loving and trustworthy.
We touched on some very strong elements, and it's probably, I'm sure if when we all come out and say some things, some of the stuff might be a little redundant. So, Mr. DeMaurice, I'm going to swing it to you, but don't mention anything if you can that Mr. Charles said. Add to it, my brother.
That's a hard thing. Um,
Yes,
I like
sir.
a woman that's quiet. I'm gonna go to the floating songs. Love everything and everybody because I love everything and everybody. Um, no, she has to be beautiful inside and out. She has to. I'm gonna try not to. I love a woman with a great sense of humor that you can have fun with, but she has to be beautiful inside and out encompasses everything. Has a great personality. Just lights up a room when she comes in the room. Um, I want to see that great smile when I walk in. I want to feel her essence as far as her femininity, and of course, trustworthy and caring. I love a woman that cares about other people and other things, just not herself. And so she's going to be very respectful. She's going to be very nurturing. She's going to be very supportive. And of course, if she's giving that, then she expects that from her mate. So I'm going to be those things to her. I want her to bring out the best in me, and I want to bring out the best in her. So whatever I think that's the best in her, and I see it because when you meet people, you see things that sometimes they don't see. I want to bring those things out, and I want her to notice the beautiful and best in me to bring that out in me.
Good stuff, gentlemen. Real good stuff. You didn't leave me much to kind of basically pull from, but I'll try. I think too, to add to what these two gentlemen stated, she must be one to basically sense what's going on and respond to it without basically having a conversation. Meaning, if there's something that needs to be done and she sees it and I may not see it, either she steps in and get it done or bring it to my attention. In a sense where she basically cannot allow things to rattle her beyond necessary. I mean, we all get our battleship shaken from time to time, but don't spend a lot of time basically dwelling, just basically be able to shake some things off, put things in reality, come from out of the emotions. You can go there, but come from out of the emotions and kind of get into logic and let's get things done together and let's move on. Let's not make something bigger. Doesn't make things bigger than they have to be. Understanding the nature of things in general, not taking it personal, not basically looking at oneself and kind of seeing with only one eyes. Look at things what's going to be best for the both of us. So we spoke on a lot of different things there, and I want to talk about a gentleman that has a good woman. I'm not going to bring his name out first. By the time I get to his name, you probably understand what I'm talking about. This guy, we watched him throughout a portion of our lives and his life, and we rooted for him one way or another. Some of us might have rooted against him, but something about him had electrical charm where you could not pay attention to what was going on with him, even when he wasn't doing his basic professional thing. And we all kind of watched him, lose his way. This gentleman has walked through bankruptcy. He was abandoned by a lot of different people in previous relationships, but his wife, his good woman, who he calls his world, remained steadfast by his side throughout different things throughout his life. So recently, this man did something that he's known for, and he picked up $20 million, and all of it he gave to his world, his wife, because he says he would be nothing without her. She deserves that and more. So I'm wondering, Mr. DeMaurice, when you hear about that, I'm talking about Iron Mike Tyson, what words do you offer up to such a man that sees a woman, that has a woman, that says, yeah, I want it out and I did this, but what you have given to me, I want to give this back to you and then some. Your response to it, my brother?
And this is pretty hard, man, because the luster has kind of worn off with Mike Tyson in the last few years and decision making he's made. And I understand that, you want to be in entertainment now, and you got to, what Charles would say, $20 million in 16 minutes. But yeah, it's commendable that he would give all of his money to his wife. I know that she's a better manager of money than he is, so he probably, after all the bumps and bruises that he took over past relationships and past wives, um, who he probably is still paying alimony to, um, that he wanted to place it in her hands so that she can better manage the money. And maybe he's learned some lessons over the years that has made him a little bit more humble, and maybe has forced some of the decisions that he's made recently, as far as financial, a little bit better. So that has to be commendable. But I just kind of have a kind of sour taste in my mouth what he did to kind of do it, um, and uh, and hopefully he can take this and turn it into something bigger.
Yeah, I love my cousin. You ask for one thing, he give you three, but that's okay. Yeah, I understand you still sore about what take place, but you still sore.
I'm trying to be
I get it.
diplomatic, man. I'm trying to be
I
diplomatic.
understand. A lot of people are, man. I saw for what was going to go down, so it didn't bother me. But I'll say this, man. I think for most men, it's hard to turn over $100, more or less 20 million. And when you think about that staggering amount, and I understand where you feel about how you got it. I do get it, but when I stand back and think about it, I think that's the reason why he did it, bro. He knew all along he wanted to do what he did with the cash. And for that reason, he put himself in what could be a debacle with the case. We could call it a lot of different things, but to me, it says a lot about a person or about him to put himself out there that way or humble himself enough to basically pay back to her, a good woman, his wife. And if a man has a wife, she should be a good woman. Same thing if a woman has a husband, he should be a good man. And for him to feel that, I can go out here, whatever, is going to be said about me, whatever's going to happen, but I'm going to earn this because I could place this with you, regardless of what happened in my past. But you've been this to me, what I value so much, that this is not even enough to give to you. So, Mr. Charles, I want to bring you in, basically 20 million, man. And like I said earlier, some people, some spouses, man, they get money, never tell their spouse. I mean, I've heard of stories where people basically, win the lottery, don't want to tell their spouse. Let me say this real fast before I bring to you, Mr. Charles. I remember years ago, this cat in the state of Connecticut, I guess at the time when he won the lottery, the state lottery, I think it was 9.5 million. Well, they give you a year to collect. So I think it was in the process of getting divorced. So he sat on a ticket. He waited and waited and waited. So 3 months before the ticket expired, they started saying, this person won 9.5 million, but it must come in to claim it within X amount of time. Well, this cat waited past the expiration date because he didn't want to bring the ticket forward to give her any of the winnings while they were still married. So about a week after it expired, he came to try to claim it, and they was like, "No, sir, no, sir." So with that being in mind, you think about what Mike Tyson did. To me, that amplifies it even more. Of course, that was his ex-spouse, but in that situation, I'd have took half of 9 million and closed my eyes and gave it other half. But Mr. Charles, we hear what Mr. Tyson did. Your thoughts to it, my brother.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing with Mike and all that he went through, this current spouse, his wife, one thing she provided him more than anything anybody else has ever done, she provided him with security, right? Secure. She provided security in his life. Because the one thing that he had with all the money and everything, and the tigers, lions, and bears, and all the other stuff, whatever was going on, the one thing they said first that she did was when they had a little money or whatever, she bought a house. So wasn't no more renting or leasing or whatever the hell you do as far as property is concerned. She bought a house that they will have a home no matter what. So if he never made another dime, she secured a home base for him and their family. So that's huge. Everybody else been, oh, let's do this and let's go to Acapulco and let's, lion by the lion, tigers, and bears. She bought a house, secured a home base. Then after that, she also helped them become marketable again. So they started to put out all the opportunities that was available to him. Remember, he had the TV special. Now he has a podcast. They got the weed farm, all that other stuff too, and all these other opportunities, and helped them, or at least they realized his value, and they said, "Well, we got this money coming in, we good now." So when you do that, she basically set him up, and he had said before when he was with her earlier that she made him a stay-at-home dad. I'm like, yeah, because she like, look, I'm gonna do what I do, but we're going to make sure you're secure. And I think that speaks volumes, but most importantly, too. So, if all the things that I mentioned to you right there before are in place, and she's doing that, she's already proven who she is, why in the hell wouldn't you give her that 20 mil? Because guess what she going to do with it? She's going to add the 20 mil to the pot. She said, "You all right? You've been out there for 16 minutes. You got 20 mil. We going to be all right. You want to get another 20 mil? They got another one for 16 minutes." So she is probably happy, and Mike knows that. I'm gonna give it to her because I know I'm gonna mess it up. Like my man said, last thing he said, I forgot how much he made. Was it 300 million, something like that at one point? Do you guys remember how much
I don't
money he
remember.
made over
That.
time?
Yeah, I think it was close to that. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. So Mike Tyson said, "I know who I am. I come from the streets. 300 million, that means something to somebody else. If you give me 300 million, I'm gonna spend 300 million." That's what he said. Because money don't mean nothing to him. That's what he said. So with that being said, finally have a woman that really understands and cares, and he just gets to live his life and not worrying about whether or not he got knocked somebody out. He can really be a human being, and I think that's something that's been missing from his life. He's a human being for once, and he can just be Mike, whatever that is. And I think that's why he had no problem turning over that money because it's part of going back to his comfort and his stability and his security of having a home and just adding back to his family and his plot now.
It's been stated and said quite a bit, and it should be the reality that what you give to a woman, she should multiply it. And a lot of times we forget that in a sense. And of course, just not any woman, but once you give something to her, she should take it and multiply it and make it better than what you gave to her. And in reality, listen to you, Charles, and she was doing that Mike for Mike long before Mike decided to give her the 20 million. When you think about it, she was basically stepping in there and helping him to basically be stronger, I mean, putting him out there where he can basically gain and making him realize, well, you may not be in the ring, but you're still marketable. And that's what a good partner should do. See some things about you may not see for yourself. Allow you to open your eyes in areas where your eyes might be closed. Speak to your heart, speak to your spirit. And yeah, so when you start to do things like that, the amount of money doesn't really compare. It just doesn't. When we were together last time, I threw a question out that I was going to have us to address next time we got together. And the question was, choices are made at tender ages, and sometimes they're pivotal to one's later on in life, the choices you can make when you're younger. So I wanted you two guys to basically, recall a choice you made when you was younger. When you think back to it or over the period of time of your life, it gave it some thought. And you realize that it impact, a huge impact, let me say that, on your life, Mr. Charles.
Man, it's so much. I'm sitting there thinking, wow. Uh, I have to say this because it really wasn't my choice. I'm not even gonna trip. Going to college, man.
Mm. Yep.
It wasn't even a college. It wasn't even my choice. I promise to God, my dad, it was all about that. He's the one came up with the idea. I was gonna get a part-time job. I know y'all about to kill me, but I'm gonna say what's real. I'm gonna get a part-time job, sell some dope with my boy, and get me a vehicle, and just make some quick money. That's what was on my mind. But my dad knew. He knew what I wanted to do. He knew I was up to no good, and he basically used his authority and through love too to say you need to go to school because that's what it's about. And my irrational, crazy, wild self wasn't thinking about anything he was saying in that matter, but I went along with it. But basically, truth be told, when he did that and looked out for me, he saved my life. That's real talk.
Wow, it's good stuff there, man. Real good stuff. Mr. DeMaurice, I'm sure when we all stop and think about it, we have these choices we made when we were young that we stepped into. And it's interesting how life is because as a young man or a young woman, you can make some choices at a young age that can basically really turn your life upside down for the rest of your days. And you would think that you would be able to make that type of choice or decision later on in life when maturity is really kind of set in and it's your foundation, but that's not always the case. So that being said or thought about, sir, a choice you made that had an impact, huge impact on your life.
Um, it was the same as Charles going to college, but it was going to college in a different state, in a different environment because I kind of felt that if I had stayed in the same environment, I wouldn't have really accomplished some of the things I've accomplished over the years, and I wouldn't be able to concentrate or really focus a lot. And so when I told everybody that I'm going to school in Ohio, folks kind of like, "How? Why are you going to Ohio?" It's like this school's here, and for me, and I saw some of my family members who went to school in the same state, and it didn't fare well for them. And so I felt like I wanted to go and establish myself somewhere else, and the only way I could do that is to go away to school. And it was a great decision. I don't know where I got the insight. It had to be from the creator. But there was a young man who came to our school who was a recruiter, and he talked me and this other sister into going to Wilberforce University. And when I said Wilberforce, everybody, where? What? Where's that at? What school is that? And nobody ever heard of it. But I read up on it. I researched it, and I'm like, okay, this is the place I want to be. And met a lot of great people there that I still have in contact with. And I had a lot of great experiences there. Got to meet people from not only all over the country but around the world. I would have never knew about South Africa without meeting some of my brothers who were Sigmas. I'm not a Sigma, but I consider them my brothers because we traveled and sang in choirs together all across the Midwest. Brothers from South Africa, and finding out what was happening in South Africa. I had no clue of what was happening. I was in high school. I wasn't looking at the news and everything, and meeting people from Bermuda and meeting people from all over the globe. and it just broadened my worldview of everything. So I wanted to learn everything about every place and all different people. And I knew at that particular point when I started learning that a lot of this stuff was kept away from me for a reason. And so it just made me thirst for knowledge and thirst for other places and research other places, whether it was China or Europe or whatever. I wanted to learn about it, meeting all these people. And it's a historical black school, but it I never forget Yvonne Walker Taylor, who was the president when I stepped in school. And she used to have this famous saying, if you can make it at Wilberforce, you can make it anywhere. And I took that to heart. I took that to heart, and every place that I stepped into, it could have been very challenging, but I knew that I could not let my family down, my parents down, and I could not let Yvonne Walker Taylor down because she
Hmm.
told me, if you can make it here at Wilberforce, you can make it anywhere in the world. And a lot of folks didn't take that, and Charles will tell you, a lot of folks that we went to school with didn't take that to heart, but I did. When she came in as a red bone, tall, elegant lady, black, and just when she walked in the room, I mean, just like I described earlier, she took attention, and she was proud and elegant, and you couldn't tell her a thing. She, she had that
Hmm.
strength, and you wanted a piece of that. Every time she smiled at you or talked to you, you wanted a piece of that. And I think she gave it to each and every one who wanted to take it. But it had to be college, man. It had to be. I'm 17 years old. I've been out at different states. I lived in North Carolina and and different parts of the country. But it had to be college. It just broadened my horizons.
Hmm. I'm going to kind of take this route. It's funny as you two were talking, I thought of another one, but I'm going to take this route here. And I might throw this one, the other one, just a little bit too. But like you two thought of at a young age, and you spoke of college. At a young age, I just knew college wasn't for me. I felt that I could strive out on my own and do what I wanted to be successful and do without college, and not necessarily having a clear path of exactly how I was going to do it. Just my thought process, my faith. I believed in that. But one thing I knew I wasn't going to do, I was not going to serve in the army for this country. And ironically, they started calling upon me. Now, I don't know, I'm pretty sure they have a list of high school graduates and that they kind of go to. But at the time, I kind of thought my guidance counselor, for some reason, gave them my name and number. But they started calling the house. And my mother would tell me, when they called. And most of the time, they would leave a number and I wouldn't call them back. So a few days later, they had the call. They made the call and I was there. And my mother said, he's on the phone. I want to talk to him. So I get on the phone. He's all hyper. Hey, Mark, I've been calling. Let me tell you something. Stop calling me. I have no interest in serving this country as a soldier. And I said, I would never change my mind about that. So do yourself a favor. Forget my number and stop calling. Tell the rest of them too to do the same. So that was my big choice. And that basically came from how I knew my people were treated in this country. Now, I don't knock anyone else that decided to go into the service. Sure, there was great benefits, but there was no way I knew at a young age, watching what I knew, knowing what I knew about our history, I was going to defend this country in any form or fashion. I'll defend my family, I'll defend myself, but not something that's been bad to me and my people. The second thing, I'm not going to say it was, well, I guess I can say it's a choice, but I became a father at a very young age, 16. And the choice to basically embrace that, which I could have chose not to, but the choice to I made person to embrace that has had a great, beautiful, huge impact on my life. And to look back now, I couldn't see doing nothing else different. Yeah, it came early, but the maturity that came with it so early allowed me to look at things different. to realize that you have responsibility to someone else's life, how their life is going to turn out for the good or the bad. You not only thinking of yourself, you got to think of them. It just basically allowed my mind to expand, see things differently, experience things differently, think of things soundly. So, yeah, I had to kind of sneak that one in because realistically, that may have been one of the best choice I made in my life. Because I say that because in reality, it's not like I had a choice once the intercourse thing took place. But a lot of people, a lot of men in my position, young or old, run away from fatherhood. They may not embrace it. They become selfish. And at a tender age of 16, I could have easily done that. I could easily look the other way and act like I'm too young. Why would I want to do that? Why do I want to spend time? And in spite of that, I found a way to embrace that and still live a full, good life, and that I'm proud of. Gentlemen, I want to toss this up and see what we come up with. I was thinking about this throughout the week, and I kind of started putting it down on paper. Well, not necessarily paper. Now we got technology. Sometimes I put it on the iPad or in the iPad. But the word adaptation, I wanted to kind of use that in a sense where we look at it from a psychological standpoint. Because unique adaptation in general is basically changing one's behavior for a suitable and new purpose or situation. That's the key there, right there. Suitable for a new purpose or a situation. Excuse me. And I think a lot of times we're in situations where men and women, we fight basically just adapting. And most of the time, physiological adaptation would be considered conscious social strategies or subconscious emotional responses. The subconscious mind is something beautiful among itself. But adaptation is huge in life and it plays a huge part in our relationships. But here's what tends to get in the way: the quiet stubbornness. We have certain things that we make up our mind. We may not tell our partner, but we make up our mind that we're not going to do. And we kind of basically carry those basic quiet thoughts out, but not knowing in reality, it really keeps us from becoming one. So I'm going to come to you with this one, Mr. Charles. We talked in a previous show about our pearls, not casting our pearls before swine. And I'm wondering sometimes, or I have been thinking, how common has it been a part in your life where your pearls could have went out further or cast more of your pearls if that other person just would adapt to the part that would have kind of benefited the relationship, sir?
Now, I think that's huge and spot on because I'll say this. We all everybody want, I mean, it's naturally to want to be happy, have a solid mate and somebody you can connect with. But in my particular situation, I always wanted to make sure that it was the right situation or the right person or close to the right person that they're willing to work with me because you don't have to be perfect. I never said that, but you at least willing to get into the get join the fight with me, and we have to be on the same accord. And if they would have accepted the way that we were going, and I probably could have been a little bit more, actually a lot more mature because I was like, hell, I'm already doing this on my own, depending on what I had to do. Then I know I'm gonna be okay. But if I had been a little bit more mature and they were willing to work with me, I probably would have been in it for the duration or a long time. So yeah, it meant a lot because it's like, why am I wasting my time or what I have my pearls on somebody that is going to change their mind next week or turn a different way or think a different way within a certain amount of time? It's not worth the effort, and then you got to start all over again. And maybe that's why I'm in the position I'm in now. But if you with me, if like I said before, if you become my teammate and we say to each other, we can't cut you, I can't cut you, you can't cut me. We got to help make each other better and do what we have to do together to make a great life. And I think that's still today still feasible if that's what people want to do.
Oh, yeah. Adaptation is huge, Mr. DeMaurice. It really is when we start to think about it. You bring two different, let's see, two different genes together, the male and the female. They must find a way within themselves to adapt and kind of basically find common ground. And but to me, it's usually one party decides where no, I'm drawing a line in the sand here. I'm not going to do this. But with that being said, they want the pearls that comes with the relationship. So therefore, the question comes to you, sir. You know, has it been common in your life at a period of time, or maybe with a particular person where they want the pearls, but the adaptation or the adaptation in general, they weren't about that life.
Yeah, several times where they want the pearls, but they're not willing to adapt um, to the circumstances and what's being presented in the relationship. So what happens, and you know me, I'll start closing up shop. I'll start, I'll start kind of packing things up and I'm ready to move on because if you want me to give everything and you're not giving everything, but you're expecting everything from me, then that's not a fair deal. That's not something that I want to be a part of. So it's usually the case where if I see that okay, it's all about you and it's not about us, then okay, I gotta look out for me because you're just looking out for you and you're not looking out for me and you want all these benefits and I'm not getting any benefits out of this. So if you're not willing to adapt to that and start thinking of we instead of just me, then there's no reason for me to go forward. And I'm like that stubborn horse that you can pull the reins all you want, but I'm not taking another step forward. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna start retreating, and I want to take everything I have with me, with me. So yeah, I think in some relationships, I won't say all relationships that I've had, but in some relationships, you find yourself in that particular moment, and you're going, you know what, this is the juice is not worth the squeeze here, and it's about time for me to start retreating and looking out for number one.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, without a doubt, man. Yeah, it's interesting because I think society as a whole, all depends where you're kind of viewing sells to people. Basically, you don't have to adapt. Realistically, you just basically come aboard. If you're fly to a degree, they should adapt to you. And I only think not only society sells that, I think family members sell that to people. I think from time to time people get in, the little huddles with their family and they brag about this and that, and then they listen to this dumbass advice their family have to give them, and they really don't kind of go on their own natural accord, and they become to a point where no, I'm not going to be that, I'm not going to be this, and but they're expecting again for the pearls to continue. And I've never understood where you want something good, you want something solid, but you're not willing to do whatever it takes to have that. Like it should just come to you automatically. Like Christmas morning, you wake up in the morning and you go downstairs and you're all teary eyed and blurred by the morning itself, and it should just be there. Not realize it takes a lot of work, and you must come and give and adapt because we both should be adapting. And of course, I experienced that. And like you, Mr. DeMaurice, there's been times I experienced that I walked away immediately. And so there have been some times you give it a little time and say, you know what, let's see what happens. But at the same time, just as you pull back because, pearls are precious and they should only go to ones that are worthy of such. Know how to handle them, just not accept them. Know how to handle them and value them. Because you value something, you're going to take good care of it. You're willing to do something to be good to it and give back. When you think that you only should be receiving, here again, that's been taught quietly and loudly. Get what you can, get yours. Don't give back. Get what you can. So there comes that adaptability because it's almost like the natural progression as our bones become less flexible. As we age, we don't want to be as flexible. We don't want to be. An old adage, an old saying is that, I'm stuck in my ways. I never wanted to feel that way and think that way about myself. But I'm gonna throw a saying out to you, Mr. DeMaurice, and I'm sure you've heard. I know I've heard it certain times. Well, that's who that person is. They just stuck in their ways. What are we supposed to do with that saying? Or someone says that to you, and that's just how I am, Mr. DeMaurice. I'm stuck in my ways. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, my ex-wife said something like that to her. This is the way it is, and I might as well just get used to it. Oh no, I don't. I don't have to get used to this. I don't have to do anything. I can leave. And so that's what it tells me. That you don't want to. You see the situation. You don't want to improve it. You're going to be whoever you're going to be. I got to deal with it, and I don't. I don't have to deal with incompetence. I don't have to deal with stupidity. I don't have to deal with your attitude. I can always leave. And so that tells me that that person is not flexible. They're not going to change. Everything you said that you needed, you're not going to get. So why should you stay there and try and keep fighting and keep fighting and keep fighting? I saw too many men in my life do that. They settled and they're like, you know what, this is the way it is. So I'm just going to just ride this out until they put me in the ground. I'm like, I refuse to do that. I refuse to do that with somebody who is dead set not to improve and not to be better and not to cater to my needs like I'm catering to theirs. I can't do it. So yeah, she learned that the hard way, but it was like I think that was her at the debate the final statement in the debate like this is the way I am. So I don't know why you're fighting it. That's exactly what she said. I don't know why you're fighting it. Just accept it and let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, you're gonna go down the road by yourself because I'm not moving from this. So you're not willing to change. I ain't willing to accept your counter offer. Goodbye.
Yeah, I can't say I experienced it the time I was married, but yeah, I've heard it. Well, that's just my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. That's your personality, and that means what to me? What does that really mean to me? Because that's your personality. What does that do? What is that supposed to do for I? So the same question to you, Mr. Charles. Basically, when they're I shouldn't say bold enough, kind of stupid enough to say to you, realistically, you know, that's just who I am. And really poke their chest out when they say it to you, like, you know what? Damn, I should just, what, that's who you are. What you got, what you're carrying is so great, so good. I'll be a fool to walk away from you. And that's kind of how they say it to you. Like basically, realistically, you know what I have. You just gotta just shut up and just kind of deal with this. But ironically, Mr. DeMaurice and Mr. Charles, there are a lot of dumb men that do such.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of dumb men, and I call them what they are, dumb men that do such. So, but the question to you, Mr. Charles, in reality, and I'm sure you heard it at some point, might have been used a little different way. Maybe took a word out here or there, but that's just my personality. That's just who I am. Your response to it, sir.
No, and I've definitely heard that. Yeah, that's just who I am. Okay, that don't mean I had to deal with it. I had to work with you on that. I mean, it's almost as if they're not willing even to even try to work things out or recognize how great a pairing between the two of you can be. So if you don't take me for who I am or who I am or what I'm doing, then it's just your loss. And I had that happen to me before. Somebody just said they told me something about themselves and just kind of like something to that effect. They didn't use those words, but they told me what I could not do. I could not control them. I couldn't change them or whatever, and they're gonna do what they do. And I was like, well, I said to myself, okay, well, that means I need to let you go because I had to accept you, but I'm supposed to change, right? I'm supposed to change it. Then when it all go haywire, because when we get together and then you clearly have no idea how to deal with finances, you have no clear way of making our lives better because that's not what you used to. You used to living, living, check to check and all the other stuff where you don't know how to work with other people or do some things better for yourself to try to create a bond or a legacy. then I'm supposed to just be okay with that. That's crazy as hell. No way. But then later on, they go, well, if you would have just done this, we could have been whatever. And they're not willing to listen either. That's the other thing. They listen to the wrong people. And those same people that they listen to later on, they find out, or that they listen to at the point, find out later on, those people are still stuck where they are. And maybe they like that because they like taking care of those people. But you got to be smarter about it, man. Again, this is a partnership. You're working together. You got to be willing to kind of adjust a little bit if that's what you really want. And I think that goes a long way with figuring it out together. And then you have something you can fall, somebody you can fall back on at the same point.
Yeah. I think it's nice when two people can basically find each other and realize one person is stronger in one area and that person get leaned for or leaned into that area. And the areas where a person is weak, that other person may be stronger and they pick it up and carry it from there. But when it's kind of basically set to where, you know, this is who I am, we just work around that. Mm-mm. And that right there, man, that ain't the quickest turn off that exists in modern day time. I can say for myself, and I'm sure a lot of other men feel the same way. It's amazing. I mean, just being inflexible for the most part, and one thing's done your way, but at the same time, you want to have what's offered to you, and believe for the most part that it's your destiny, that you're entitled to such. Basically that there's nothing wrong with you basically feeling what you feel. And as you said, Mr. Charles, they don't probably, talk to someone to where it reinforces what yeah, you're right, girl. Yeah, bang, 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 bang. But you're talking to people that are miserable more than likely. And the one thing about misery, it loves company. So when you go to a company of misery, you're going to get misery back. And you may not see it at the time. It may not appear to you at the time, but it's waiting for you. It's waiting for you down the road. Gentlemen, I haven't gotten questions from you two guys in a good period of time, so I'm gonna roll into that this episode. A question you may have for us, Mr. DeMaurice.
Wow. Haven't really thought about it. You haven't done it in a while. Um, but
I know you always got a question on the tip of your tongue, bro. I know you always got a question. If you ain't got nothing, I'll come back to you, man. I'll come
okay,
back to you. Take
okay.
a
Come back
second.
to me. Come back
We
to
do
me.
that. If you ain't got nothing, Mr. Charles, I'll throw something out. But I'm pretty sure Mr. Charles sitting on something.
I'm going to defer to you. That's how we doing it.
Sure, man, no problem. Something we haven't talked about, and I thought about this, and I want to basically, even though she didn't win, I want to congratulate Camilla Harris for trying, because in my opinion, nothing beats not trying, and she went out there, she gave it her best shot. Could have done some things differently, but when I look at the final tally, she still did well. When you think about the point that she was only in the primary or the race for the United States of America for like 3 or 4 months. And with that, she showed up very well. So you look at the person that won, he's been campaigning for the last 4 years. And I'm not saying that's the reason why he won, but that goes a long way. So we really didn't get a chance to kind of basically speak on that too much. And we could take this time now and do it because realistically, for her, what was at stake, how she handled herself, how she went about her business, I commend her. I commend her to make it that point in your life. And a lot of times we put so much emphasis on winning and losing, we don't pay attention to what the person has went through, what basically, even if they lost, what still got accomplished. And that to me, she did a lot. She did a heck of a lot. So we're gonna do that. I'll roll that to you, Mr. Charles. Get your opinion on that one, sir.
Yeah, I think she deserves recognition and kudos for that. I just think though that what's disheartening, and I said this before, is the hand she was dealt, because as you said, technically to me it was less than 100 days, bro. When that throw boy Biden decided he wasn't gonna do it, once she really got moving, it was less than 100 days for her trying to try to win the presidency, which is almost unthinkable, particularly from somebody trying to change a different mindset for a lot of people. So it was noble of her, first of all, to take the challenge on, It was noble for her to even try to get as close and do as well as she did. But I just kind of wished she one had more time to kind of plead her case, if you will, or show the world the rest of the people that were probably against her from the start to get to know her better. But in regards to her effort and what she's able to do, a lot of people that were pulling for her, I have nothing but respect and honor from her. And they talked a lot about her. She's a different type of person. She's been through a lot, and they did everything they could to try to bring her down from the her early days of learning about politics. They did a lot, but she stood tall, and definitely want to congratulate her on that. The fact that she did it when other people clearly did not want her in as the candidate, and they were not willing to step in to assume the duty or the opportunity.
Yeah. Mr. DeBrace, we speaking on words or speaking words to one Camilla Harris. Your thoughts, my brother. Okay, well said, my brother. Yeah, I think I look back and again, man, I applaud her what she what she chose to do. Yeah, a lot of things could have probably went differently and kind of made things a lot smoother and probably more advantageous. But sometimes things happen for a reason, and I look at anything that really happens in life or in general. And people may not like to hear it. It just sounds cliche. It can be what there's things to be learned from anything, anything. And you kind of alluded to some stuff there, some things there, Mr. Maurice. And yeah, we can always learn from some stuff. And I think in life, a lot of times we miss out on valuable lessons that could be learned. Valuable lessons, man, that could be taught and be learned. And that unity that you speak of, Mr. DeMaurice, I'm not sure we're ever going to get to that land, bro. I'm just not sure. And it's based on so much just being franchised. And it's just beyond me, man. So there's certain things that actually I don't want to say I gave up on, but I guess I'm more realistic about. And when I look at it and I see it, I don't really expect it anymore. Because for me to expect it and it doesn't happen, it's just it's tough to kind of feel. So reality is why expect something that realistically, for the most part, I can't do nothing to control or change. And it's just, and with that being said, our unity has always been a sad place for us, bro. If you go back to early date in time of us as people, we never really stood together. We don't. We don't stand together. I remember you used to say a long time on this show, man, that their ice water is colder than ours. Their refrigerator is colder than ours. And a lot of people still got that mentality, man. A lot of people still have that mentality that whatever they have is better than yours. It's just better than whatever reason. It's better yours. And not realizing that if you're not valuing what yours is, everything is better than yours. Everything. So that's a deep seated mentality, man, that will not be unseated overnight. It's been there for a long period of time, man. But like you said, we didn't really talk about it, and I didn't even feel the need, man. I didn't feel the need, partly because it did surprise me, but it didn't move me. It didn't really move me. It just didn't. I'm glad that it didn't. I knew what I felt, and I gave it my support, and that's the best I could have done. So I kind of move on, and we see how things plays itself out. So if you two have a question that you want to kind of pop in, we'll roll through it now. I'll drop another one in, gentlemen. So we'll. Mhm. You know, I, there's something in society, and it's been brewing for a long time. Is that we um we let our anger get the best of us, no matter what the situation is, man. It could be somebody cut you off on the road. We're just angry. We're real angry. Now I look at this in two sides. Two sides. I understand another team basically wants to put another flag down, and a part of me says if they whip your ass, they got a right to do it. I know it's disrespectful, but you have 4 quarters, so they didn't have to put that flag down. So to me, at the end of the day, you know, I didn't see the footage of it, but I look at it from this level. None of those men out there fighting own any percentage of the school they're going to. You don't need to get an education, man. You're just blessed enough to have a talent that they brought you there to play football. So you're fighting for what? What are you fighting for? And that's the thing sometimes when we're fighting, what are we literally fighting for? Because in reality, you should fight to protect yourself for the most part. If someone's doing bodily harm to you, someone's trying to hurt your family, I get it. But at what point, when you just start fighting because you hurt my feelings, this is my school, you don't own the school. And I know that may sound a little offbeat, but just think about it for a second. What are we fighting for? Because trust me, if they decide to suspend you or take your scholarship, what you going to do then? Are you going to go to apply for a job and say, you know what, I was fighting that day when they stuck the flag? No one's going to care. So it's sad that we live in a world that we push people to fight more so over stuff there's no reason to fight for, in my opinion. None. And that's just my honest opinion on it. I mean, I don't give my opinion for it to be liked, disliked, or valued, whatever the case may be. But I think it's a sad state when young men, we got a lot of our men killing each other over nothing. Nothing. But when I read you have officers that go out there and basically pepper spray men, and most of those men I would assume were black. Let's take a stab in the dark. Okay? To me, you should be out there more concerned with your education. If that school, if one of those schools would say, we're closing the doors, would they fight to get inside? If somebody steps a flag on a field that you don't own, have no right to, you ready to go toe to toe. It's a game at the end of the day, gentlemen. It's a freaking game. That's all it is. Entertainment for thousands, millions. People use your talent to make money off of. That's all it is. That's what a fight should be understood. That. So I'm different when I look at that, bro. And I'll leave it there. Mr. Charles, your response.
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, I understand how, I think this crazy, sad part. I mean, you touched on some of it there, but what's really sad and crazy is how they take these young people and they soup them up with all of this testosterone and all this hype, and they drive into them the mentality of trying to be warriors or as far as for a game and things of that nature. And you get them all revved up, and they come in, they're ready to play and do whatever they do, and then so they kind of start taking it personal. So when stuff like that happens, it's almost as if they feel like they're being disrespected. I'm not saying it's the right way to do it or whatever, but I understand it because all this time you've been waiting and walking, particularly in the situation in Columbus, Ohio. You've been all year. That's all they talk about it, and now to feel like somebody is just really driving the stake even further into you, it goes a long way like that. But I just think that. The other part that I got was really tripping me out. I mean, I know they usually do something after the game where they sing the school song and stuff like that too. But in that type of situation, if I'm like particularly the home team, I'll just get my guys off the field, man. And if they playing it, you ain't gotta look at it, you can do whatever. But we lost. What the hell are we still doing on the field? For real. And then you want to get all upset. You could what about having some of that energy during the game? We didn't have enough energy during the game. Maybe that was the coach's fault. But I would just move them out, get them off the field. That way you don't have to worry about it because as soon as you linger around, like they say, you stay too long, something bad gonna happen. So I kind of blame a lot of folks for that. And then when it got out of hand, it got out of hand. So I don't know. I mean, there's so much to that, but I'm kind of torn on it, and I see both sides. But I also am looking at the people that were in charge should have took them right off the field after the game.
I like that. I like what you're saying about they should have took him off the field, which is real because what I would expect from the elders, the older men, the coaches, it starts there and it should come down to the young athletes that no, we and like I said earlier, for the most part, you lost the game. Yeah, now I get, I'm not saying that other teams should stake the flag, but you lost the game, man. You had 4 quarters, like Mr. Charles said. Yeah, that energy should have been put into the game. And in life, sometimes you lose. You lose. You just do, man. I mean, we grew up playing, sports in our neighborhoods. Trash talking was king, boss. It was king. You couldn't play a game that you got trash talked well. But guess what? At the end of the game, you basically dapped it up, good game, and you went about your business. You lived another day. You didn't get into a fight because the person says something to you, whatever. So I look at it like that, man. We come, like I said, we come a long way from that, and it's just it's to me. I'm not gonna say it's out of control, but I think for institutions of higher learning, the key word here is higher learning. You got to teach better than that. Your response to a good question, Ms. DeMaurice. I want to come back before I ask you for your question, Mr. Charles, because I want to just get a quick idea. How would you, Mr. DeMaurice, because you came with the question, I'll ask you this first. To me, there should be some form of punishment. And punishment is not only basically for the act that occurs, but punishment also should be a deterrent so it doesn't happen again. So if you're looking at the two schools involved, how should both schools be punished? If you had a right, if you were given an opportunity to punish them, how would you do such? See, to me, this is when the NCAA should step in. And I understand one school doesn't have a right to go to the championship, but $100,000? I mean, $100,000, really? That's a great deterrent. $100,000. I mean, come on. Yes, I mean, realistically, so it says to me they're really not bothered by it. They're not bothered by it. They're not. They want to feel like they did something, but they're not bothered by it. But I'm gonna make a statement before I come to your response, Mr. Charles. The majority of those young men, I'm willing to bet, were black. They were black. If you had white men on fighting each other like that, oh, trust me, they would do much more to prevent it from happening again. And the reason why I say this is because they expect us to fight, bro. They do. They expect us to act stupid and act a fool. They don't mind it. Your response to what the punishment should be, Mr. Charles.
No, I think the financial punishment should be more than $100,000. But the other part, I heard you. It was mentioned about penalizing the players. How about penalizing the damn staff that did not resort to stopping them from doing what they did? How about saying, look, nah, y'all need to get out the field and keep it moving? How about somebody taking a step to make sure that their kids or whoever it is moving on? I mean, so how about that? Because you're going after everybody, but you go except from the people that's supposed to be in charge. And the NCAA, to that point, is so scared now, so scary that they're gonna be removed from the whole equation. That they don't want to do anything that makes sense, or they didn't do anything that might endanger those new opportunities. So yeah, I think that's what I when I look at it from that standpoint, I'm like, what the hell are y'all thinking about? And I mean, I don't know. You know when it becomes that heated, something's gonna happen if you don't take measures previously to move forward. And it just I think it falls on the host and it also falls on the visiting team too.
Yeah, I really believe for the most part they don't really care. Is it an embarrassment to them? But you'll get over that quickly. They don't care. They don't care. And that they to me they're showing about $100,000. I'm with you, Mr. Charles, that the coaches involved. But you know what? How about realistically? And it sounds crazy. You know, you're going to basically miss 2 to 3 games. The team itself, we're going to take 2 or 3 games away from you. So maybe you got one more game to play this year. You won't play it. To start the next season, you're going to miss 2 to 3 games right off the bat. So you think twice about doing that again. Your coaches, your president, you all get that memo quite quickly. But see, the NCAA is not because too much money is going to be lost. Too much money. So they don't care about teaching a lesson because Go on and fight the rest of your life. Go get locked up. Do what you do. Because the money's got to be made off your skill. That's what they're basically saying, in my opinion. The money has to be made off your skill. So that's it. To miss no games, I mean, the team, the school itself, miss no games. Why? Why not? Because the next game that Ohio State going to play, imagine how much money they're going to make. Imagine how much money Michigan going to make the next game they're going to play. Like you said, Mr. Reese, that $100,000, they made that in hot dog sales. Hot dog sales. Oh, college been a big business for years, squandering and stealing from young men their gifts and their talents and making billions. Your question, Mr. Charles.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let me just throw this out there first, because I know there's a lot of there's a lot of people out there that when they're looking for love or companionship, they use these dating apps. And they use these dating apps and they say, "Oh man, I'm gonna put myself there, try something different, whatever." And to each his own, whether or not you do that or not. But for a lot of people, if they feel like it didn't work, or if it didn't work, they go, I don't know why this didn't work." So one of your favorite comedians has come up with an idea with a new app, a new dating app, and the comedian is the great and funny Leslie Jones. D-Ray, let me finish my start, damn it, before you start giving some editorial comments. Can I finish my soliloquy? So, Leslie Jones says, if it didn't work, you know it didn't work, and now what are we going to do? And her new dating app is going to be called What's Left.
Yeah.
Those that didn't match, and you know why you didn't match. If you're still looking for love, we got a dating app for you called What's Left. Good luck.
DeMaurice, go first, boss. Go first. Go at it, man. Hey, you know what's interesting about dating apps is that realistically, people really believe they can buy a dream, and they don't understand what people sell to them sometimes. And it's like you said about everybody's lying, Mr. Maurice. But we have realistically women going up and think they're going to find husbands up there. And I'm not saying couples don't meet and go on, but they're up there believing that, and I call that desperation. I really do. I call it desperation, and it sounds like that's where she is. And people don't want to hear that word, but ironically, it is. If you're up there trying to meet unknown folks and think that's going to lead to a land of love and happiness, good luck. Good luck. And in reality, majority of times, it doesn't work out. It doesn't. And sometimes the farther we get away from the basic fundamentals, the crazier it gets, but it doesn't get any better. So to me, dating apps have always been that way. Got a, like Mr. Teresa, got a bunch of people lying. You got a bunch of people thinking I'm gonna go up here and find love, but the reality is you ain't gonna find love because you ain't fixed yourself. The same problems you had prior to going on a dating app, you bring it to the dating app. Nobody wants them. Nobody wants the problems. So you didn't change you, and no app, no matter what you pay for it, how much you spend is going to make a duck look like Pam Grier. Your response, Mr. Darius. I mean, Mr. Charles. So good question.
No doubt. Well, I mean, if you got to be honest about yourself, and that's one thing I think it's hilarious when if she's coming up with this thing that said what's left, because most people are honest. Or they're not honest. They realize what they said, what they did, and their experiences have been crazy. So if you're that desperate and you want to connect with somebody, then you know what you get what you pay for. You get what you pay for. Again, most people on there are putting out their representative, and then once you get to know them, you go, "What the hell? This is not who I've been trying to meet." But it's tough. Then it's really sad though that there's so much desperation out there for love or connections or hookups or whatever that you got to go down there and put all your eggs in one basket trying to find love because you feel like you're getting old or older or you feel like you're running out of time when instead of doing it the old fashioned way. You see somebody in the grocery store or somewhere like that, give them a shout. Now they say it's cool to holler at somebody at the church. I'm gonna have to do that next month after the new year. And change the game. What's up, girl? Praise the Lord. You all right? You all right? You good? Yeah. You want to get some coffee or get some tea? God bless you. Give me a hug. No, I'm playing.
It's been going on in church
Look,
anyway,
look,
my
look, look.
brother.
Yeah, but I've been trying to be there for the right reason, right? But then it's like until you say, greet your neighbor. Hey, girl.
Oh my goodness. Desperation is something else, man. It's that no matter how you try to dress it up, how much um, perfume you put on it, it still stinks. Gentlemen, when they can get together and do what we did or do, for the most part, we get together again. Another 6, 7 days to do it again. It's Mr. Dean Race, Mr. Charles Mark Elliott, When Black Men Talk. Thank you all for giving us a listen. I'm gonna tell you, man, some of these countries that are listening. I really appreciate you all giving us an ear. I'm gonna have to spend a little time just pronounce where you are because some of these countries, man, I can't pronounce right away, but I will learn. Thank you much.